I'm Dr. Angela McBrady of DoctorFlute.com, and today's flute tip is on more embouchure flexibility. So I have talked before about flexibility and how this embouchure needs to be very flexible and be able to move while you play and adjust for high register and low register. And I want to revisit that again today because it's something we all need more work on all the time. I do too. If I'm not thinking about it and I'm performing a solo, sometimes I can just start getting tighter and tighter, and then I think, what's going on? And I realize it's because I need my embouchure to move and not have it set and be in one place all the time. So I want to look at right now and use the exercise of Kohler's Virtuosic Etudes. This is number 2. And number 2, it looks a little bit scary. So there's 2 pages of something that looks like this. It's a tad bit intimidating because of everything is a grace note all over the place. But I think anybody at any level can work on this for a flexibility exercise. You don't have to be an expert to play this. Now, if you are performing it, perhaps it's a little bit higher level. But to work on your embouchure flexibility, this is a fantastic one to work on. If you notice, you can see that we have low register and then high register grace notes, and then low register high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high. So it's constantly making your embouchure go between a low embouchure to a high embouchure to a low embouchure and back and forth. So you have to see what type of sound do I want, or else you're gonna keep the high embouchure and be trying to get the low with that high embouchure, or you're gonna have the low and always be missing the high notes. So let's take a look at this one today. I'm not going to teach all the way through it. I'm just going to show you how I work on it for my flexibility. And when I say flexibility, basically I'm saying this is a tone exercise. You're using your flexibility to get the best tone on each and every note. And flexibility here is the key to that. So this starts off, and if I just play the low notes, so beat 1, beat 2, beat 3, beat 4, the first note of my 8th note, so it's 8th note, so it's low note, 8th note, high note, grace note, 8th note, low note, high note, low, high note, and there's 8th notes, okay? So if I were just to play the low register, and I want to play that and say, what is the tone I'm looking for? What does my embouchure feel like? What am I doing to get that low note to come out? Now, I played that fast, I'm warmed up, and it's coming out very nicely for me today. But on another day, where the temperature is much colder and it's going to take longer for this embouchure to warm up, I might spend a lot more time on each note. And if this is not something that you're totally comfortable doing, you might want to spend a long time trying to get each note set perfectly. And if that's all you did in one practice session because it was a little bit tricky for you to learn how not to blow so much air, just let those low notes resonate right out, well, that's fine. Use that as one practice time. You don't have to kill your entire practice time just trying to get these notes to come out. Do that, and then on another day, come back and do that. Every day you do that, you'll learn something more about how to get your low notes to come out. So say they're coming out well, they're coming out okay for me. Now I'm going to just play the high notes and say, what do I want here? How do I want to form the embouchure to get those high notes to come out? Now, I think that I felt like I was going to crack because I didn't have enough support for those. So when you're working on your high notes, in order to keep this embouchure loose and flexible, you have to have a lot of support. So let me try that again. I'm trying to keep this loose. I'm trying to keep very little pressure on my lip plate and make sure that someone could just pull it away anytime that I was playing those high notes. I'm not plastering this because you're doing a high C and you're just having your first finger down. It's easy to use the side pressure of your finger here to plaster it against your lip, but keep it loose so you can still hold on to your instrument. Okay, now that's another exercise to work on, and since it's 2 full pages of this, you can see this etude is 2 pages long. You can have a lot of fun just playing your high notes, playing those grace notes, or just playing the low ones. You can work on it as long as you want or as short as you want, but every time you work on it, it's just focused. If you're working on the high register, get that tone out, make it open, make it resonant, and make it sing. Now it's going to be short, but that doesn't mean you can't practice long, because you're thinking, oh, what is the tone I want? If I can do it long, now I'm going to do it shorter. And then I will continue once I feel like I'm getting them. Now, let's put both of those together. So this could be 1 day's worth of work. This could be a couple days worth of work, even a week long. You know, take your time. Go at your skill level, but achieve what you want to achieve with this. Now, I have to put those together, which means I need this embouchure to work, because if I don't keep it flexible, I'm going to lose the low or I'm going to lose the high. So I'm going to aim for my low because I start with a low A. Now I'm going to take this out of rhythmic context as well. I do not want to play this dip 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 right away. Even though I've practiced it, my fingers know I'm using it as an exercise for flexibility. So slow is the key. Set my embouchure for the G sharp. And if you don't like the tone, fix it. Stay with the G sharp or whatever low note until you do like that sound. Now that's going down to an F, and even though you did, the only notes you've done so far are A, G sharp, A to F, so, you know, very close range. I think the F needs a little bit more depth to that embouchure, a little bit more elongated embouchure in order to get that F to come out. Now here's an E. Make it short. You know, you can hold on to it, but really it's harder to get your low notes to be short and to resound, to have resonance. So practice with it short. Now I did it very slowly, each little bit by itself, very slowly. Now I might say, okay, it's going along a little bit better. Let me try it and see if I can maintain that embouchure flexibility. And I hope that you can see, I can feel my embouchure change. I hope that you can see that I'm changing it for each one. Now I held each note, low note, longer and made the higher ones shorter. They respond easier in the high register, so it's easy to make them short. Right now, I want response in a fabulously beautiful low tone, because all the way through, the melody, if you want to call it that, is the low note, not the high note. I don't really call this the melody of the piece. Now it sounds just as good as if I played the low notes to that spot as well. But our movement is with the low notes. And then there's the secondary movement on the high notes. But I want to make the phrase go with the low notes. Now I can start going a little faster. Now you end right there with a low C. So if you're having trouble getting your low notes to respond, that low C is going to be really tricky. Here you're doing, if I just did the grace notes, I'm on the second line, fourth measure in here, and I'm doing the ands. That might be a passage you want to practice to go from, what do we have, a high E, second octave E, all the way down to that low C. So again, that fourth measure. And really set the embouchure, how I get my low C to come out. I'm going to set that up. This whole Etude number 2 is available on my website, so you can go there and you can download 10 Virtuosic Etudes. There's 40 in all. I have the first 10 available for you just to download for free, and use this as an exercise. Now, before I'm done, I want to show you how that becomes something that you can use in a solo. In Paganini's Caprice, so this is the number 24, arranged by Jasmine Choi, who I got to hear play this at the Mid-Atlantic Flute Convention this year. She has her arrangement available. And if you look at variation number 1, I'll show you that. In her variation number 1, grace notes up to a high E, and then your staccato all the way down to the A. So this very first one here, up to a high E and down to the A. Your embouchure has to go an octave and a half from there. And if I were to play just that very slowly, I want to use that as an embouchure exercise. If I work on, say I was working on this piece and I'm working on that variation 1, I would use it as an embouchure exercise, but also would help me learn that particular variation. And when I wanted to go faster, it'd be right there. But your embouchure has to move in a solo. That's going down to low E. So there it is in practice, where your embouchure has to be, moving all the time for the waves of music, and opening this and raising it for your high notes and lowering it, but also keeping it flexible and loose and keeping your support there all the time. So this is all about flexibility. There's a lot to be said about flexibility, and it's something that we need to practice all the time in order to be able to do it like that in a fast piece, in an orchestral piece, in a solo, something that you are performing. So work on flexibility. Do it slow, do it carefully, because there pays off in big, big dividends. More on flexibility, that's today's flute tip. If you like today's video, press the like button, subscribe, comment below, and share it with your friends.